You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 117.
Notre Dame, Asheville Ghoul, and Georgia Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah. And we're back. So thank you very much for tuning in to the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode number 117. If it's your very first time tuning in, we welcome you. Hello. How are you? And if you've been tuning into the CreepGeeks Podcast, we very much appreciate it. Yeah. So what kind of podcast is this for the people who have never heard us before?
Well, broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our CreepGeeks Bunker Studio in the mountains of western North Carolina. We're an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the strange, the stupid, paranormal, and tech topics circulating the web.
Yeah, I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And you can give us a call if you're listening.
Yes.
Phone number is 1-575-208-4025. Yeah. And you can leave a message because we welcome your stories of the weird, the wacky, the wonderful, the strange, the paranormal, whatever you got to share. If you'd like to share it with the podcast, just give that phone number a call and you can leave a voicemail. Yeah.
And if you don't want to call, you can always email us. That email is going to be contact@creepgeeks.com.
Yep. And you can subscribe on our YouTube channel. Just search for Creep Geeks, and you can find it. If you do it wrong, you'll come up with Crepe Geek, like people that make the French pancakes. So that won't be us.
No.
Yes. And you can also go to creepgeeks.com, and you can listen to the podcast there, and you can find the links to go to Apple or the iTunes or the Apple Podcast. You can find us there, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music.
Mm-hmm.
All those wonderful places you can listen to the podcast if you'd like. Also, we have a Facebook group.
Yes, and that is CreepGeeks Facebook group.
Yes.
And we have an official fan page as well. That's just going to be CreepGeeks Podcast.
Yeah, so you should tune into that as well. And one final thing before we get started, you can support our podcast with little to no effort on your part.
Wow.
Won't cost you anything at all. If you shop on Amazon.com and you use our affiliate link, we get a small percentage, and it doesn't change your price. That's right. And it helps us keep the coffee flowing and the gas in our albino rhino, our simple camper van.
Yes.
We travel places in it. It's our mode of transportation. Yes. So when we go on investigations and stuff like that, that's normally what we take.
Yes.
And also when we go camping, that is also what we take. Hence the DIY camper van.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should check it out. So, for those of you who tune in all the time, we very much appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and get started. And those people that listen know that we like to start our podcast with an interesting random factoid. Yes. So, this factoid is actually going to be 10 facts about Notre Dame. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, since it's in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. That's part of the reason why it's in the title.
Yes.
So 10 facts about Notre Dame. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, so this spiral in the Oak Room collapsed after a spectacular fire in, last week and destroyed a large part of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Fire burned for several hours. Took more than 400 firemen to contain the blaze.
Oh, my.
Very sad day. Yes. That's not an interesting factoid. That's unfortunately the facts of what's happening in Notre Dame right now.
Yeah.
But it took, basically, let's do it like this. The Notre Dame itself was made about 850 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when it began, the beginnings, right? 79 meters, 226 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically fully called the Notre Dame de Paris, which is Our Lady of Paris in French. And it's huge. It's one of the largest religious buildings in the world. And it is also, factoid number one, the most visited monument in Paris. Yes.
Hmm.
More than 13 million visitors passed between the gates every year. 35,000 visitors a day.
Wow.
That's a lot. So, it's also free. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yep, free. So, the cathedral was built on a sacred location. Yep. I'm not going to say what it is.
Built on Il de la Cité.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wasn't going to try to pronounce that. So, it also has a measurement reference. It's called 0.0. It's the center, right, where all the roads sort of emanate from Paris and France.
Oh.
It all starts there. That's where all the mile markers and stuff are calculated from.
Huh.
Yep. The bells have a life of their own.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was just like ghost stories you heard in grade school.
No, I mean they're named after people for different things.
Okay.
And yeah, some of these things are crazy expensive and heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was in the 1791 French Revolution, most of the bells were taken down and melted into cannonballs.
Oh.
Yeah. So they put some new bells up in the 19th century.
Okay.
Yeah. We're talking like over 150 years ago.
And those are the young bells,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
But I think a big one weighs like 26,000 pounds. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you know that the Notre Dame Cathedral's chimeras, otherwise known as, what do you call those things? Gargoyles?
Yeah.
They're not so medieval.
Hmm.
They were added. And what they are is they're hollow statues, and they're put in strategic places to allow water drainage.
Yeah.
And they are purely decorative.
Oh, so gargoyles are for the drainage, and the chimeras are purely decorative.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And they don't really represent medieval style architecture. So. Yep. Most of them have been replaced. They only last about 150 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exposed to the elements, you got to figure they break down and wear down.
Yep.
So
in the 19th century, Notre Dame was basically a really sort of bad, degraded, almost fell into oblivion. It was used as a storage space rather than like a religious place. Yep.
It's so sad.
But in 1804, Napoleon crowned himself the Emperor of the French in the cathedral, and that brought it back into the limelight.
Okay.
Yeah. And in 1831, Victor Hugo, he wrote the masterpiece, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah, it brought some more fame back to it. And after that, because it was a long forgotten church, right? They started to restore it because the popular people, the populace, if you will, said, hey, we should restore this. Yep.
Yeah.
And since it's 127 meters long by 48 meters wide, right?
Yeah.
The main nave is 43 meters high under the roof.
I can't even do the metric on that. That's just too much.
Well, it's metric.
Yeah.
And we're American. So pretty much they call that the forest because that roof is entirely wood timber. And it's made up of 1,300 trees.
141 feet.
Yeah. Each beam is made from one tree. And so the roof was nicknamed the forest.
Huh.
In lighter news, the cathedral was a place of beheading. So during the Revolution, people were so disgusted by the monarchy that they, had problems, and they would just kind of basically take the heads off of the statues in the gallery.
Oh.
Yeah. See, because the people, the revolutionary people, the revolutionaries, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? They took 28 of the statues, and they thought they were French kings.
Yeah.
And so they took their heads off, like they beheaded the statues. But they were actually statues representing the kings of Judah.
That's so sad.
Stupid revolutionaries.
No, that kind of speaks to the class disparity going on at the time.
Yeah, these stupid revolutionaries. As an uneducated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the statues are still missing their heads, but 21 of them have been found. And you can basically check them out. There's a museum on the left bank of the...
Wait, do you have to go across
a
river to go see them?
Yeah.
You can see 3/4 of the sculpture.
Pretty much.
The other part is at a different museum.
Yep.
That's so bad.
It also, in architecture, the cathedral follows the golden ratio, which is a 1 to 1.6 6:1 ratio.
Huh.
It's supposed to be dimensional, or it's supposed to be a dimension of perfection in art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of, what's that movie with Tom Hanks when he had this stupid hair?
The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, the Da Vinci Code.
Castaway.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, his hair was warranted in Castaway, but in Da Vinci Code, it was just like, why are you doing? I think he was trying to be like a crazy looking professor, and he just come across as not looking good. Don't get me wrong, I like Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's a good
I think
actor.
because they were trying to cast him as a younger person.
Well, it didn't work.
I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyway, it does follow the ratio, which is pretty neat. I'm not going to tell you what the ratio is because honestly, I don't really care so much. The cathedral, however, is the home to the Holy Crown. It's a priceless treasure. You know what it is?
Holy Crown?
Yeah,
I guess
it's worn by Christ.
Yeah.
And also, there's a piece of the cross and the nail, right?
Uh-huh.
And related to crucifixion and that sort of thing. So it's one of the three holy relics.
Wow.
So you can see them, or you used to be able to see them, on the first Friday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had like dedicated worship ceremonies, like Lent and Good Friday. So it was the Holy Crown of Thorns. It was on Jesus' head.
I just gotta point out, I kind of think this article was written in a hurry because I'm trying to follow along with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, it talks about how some of these holy relics and very, very important items to Christianity can only be displayed or seen during certain times of year, but it also says admired year-round. I kind of think in the urgency of the fire, let's throw some facts out here. So,
well, I mean, it depends. I mean,
yeah.
it depends on what the event is. And during the fire, they actually had to, scramble to get somebody to unlock the stuff.
Yeah.
Where it was stored, because they were afraid it's going to be taken by fire. I think it was the fire department chaplain, I think, wound up being able to get it, or get them, save them.
Yeah.
Because it was a pretty serious inferno, man, what was going on there. And the reason why we put it in our podcast is because of some of the things that people were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about those in just a second. Because I need to get a drink of coffee. Because my throat needs coffee. Goodness. I feel better about myself now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having the pollen apocalypse. What was it called?
Pollenopollet. Oh, I can't even. Pollenopollet.
Pollenocalypse?
Yeah.
Yeah, pollen. Anyway. So anyway, this thing started burning, right?
Yeah.
And there's lots of conspiracies going around as to what caused the fire, why was it burning, all this other crazy stuff. So if you took a spin around YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You could find such crazy video titles such as Notre Dame, What They're Not Telling You,
Mm-hmm.
Demons Loosed, Scary Truth, and Do You See Jesus Amongst the Flames? So I, of course, had to go and watch most of these.
Yeah.
To kind of see what was going on. And, we like the weird, the wacky, the wild, the paranormal, and all that stuff. But the videos that I watched that just kind of maybe rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Were like Demons Loosed. Where somebody had footage, right, of the flames, the big rolling flames.
Yeah.
And the flames were kind of crazy, too, because it was like a, loud sort of, big bright orange fire with yellow clouds of smoke. And it was
like a roaring fire.
It was serious. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And this person would make commentary and stop and go, do you see the faces? And do you look? If you look right here, you can see the faces of demons and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, okay. And what really got me, and the reason why I'm talking about, I won't say who it is. Okay, do you know that condition where people see faces and things and they basically hear voices?
Pareidoia.
Yeah, pareidoia.
Yeah.
They said, after they were pointing out all these faces, this is not pareidoia. I know all about that. and then went to describe everything that they seen, in the clouds.
Yeah.
And it was like a perfect definition of pareidoia.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there looking at all these clouds, or he is, making a commentary and stopping things and circling things and saying, look, that's a demon right there. And it's like, most of them I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing as if you were a kid and you were laying on your back in the field somewhere, looking up in the sky, and you see a cloud, like, oh, that's a bunny rabbit. Oh, that's a chicken. Oh, no, that's a demon.
It's a demon.
Yeah.
So,
It was like, and people were just, yes, that's totally a demon, in the comments. And one person was like, I don't see it. I just see clouds. Like when you look at clouds in the sky, I don't see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they were like, you're blind. You're blind to the fact. The demons have been loosed.
Tell me, did he get called a sheeple or something?
No, they were just basically saying that he was blind to the fact that demons have been loosed upon the world.
Okay.
And that kind of got me thinking, what if, it is a Catholic church, right?
Yeah.
And they do have religious relics. What if they do have demons stored there, for exorcised demons, if you will, and the fire let them all out?
Well, isn't like the story about like the Divik box and certain like early Kabbalistic traditions, there was a way to trap demons or certain spirits in vessels or containers.
Yeah, supposedly. We're not talking about the Divik boxes that you could buy on eBay.
Yeah,
which they really weren't. The ones we're talking about weren't really referred to as Divik boxes. They were just containers. Whether they were contained to a statue or, some other way of imprisoning
like
demons.
Indiana Jones version Ark of the Covenant type stuff. Yeah. But I could totally see some of those vessels, not just due to any possible Christian or Christianity like history or whatever, but just due to the age of them, they would be prized and valued and definitely stored in a museum.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not they actually contain demons that you could physically see during the fire, I can't speak to that at all.
Yeah. So not only did I not see demons, I also didn't see Jesus, because on the other side of that was people saying, do you see Jesus in the fire? It's kind of like, well, I guess if you can see, Virgin Mary on a potato chip.
Toast
or whatever,
Yeah.
And I get it, but it was just kind of like, and he just kept feeding into it, all the, the conspiracy theories that were out.
Well, see, and the one...
Even today, okay, because today is not the 15th. This is about 3 days after the big roaring fire.
Yeah.
For us. And there was a couple of them. One of the ones I seen, it was my favorite, and not because of the subject matter, it was because they took what looked to be a picture of all the churches in like Paris and around that area, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the number of churches that have been destroyed in the past like 5 years or whatever. And it like showed all of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And it was like at least 30 to 40 of these churches have been destroyed. If there had been that many churches destroyed, I think we would have heard about it.
Or attacked. I think it was like attacked or...
Yeah. They used the scary verbiage.
Yeah, but I do also think due to the political turmoil and climate in France, I kind of believe that factoid image,
I don't know. I don't know if it's that many, but I suppose it could be possible. But, it's just one of those things where the reason why I put this in the podcast is because people are seeing demons and Jesus, and there's lots of conspiracy around it. And on top of that, it is an important piece of architecture. It's like over 850 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's serious, and it's an amazing, it's for me, it's like right up there with the pyramids.
Yeah.
Because, if you want to go and you were touring Paris or France in general, I think the two things you'd really want to see would be Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower.
The Louvre.
Yeah, and the Louvre. All that stuff is right there, right?
Yeah.
Or, it's, it's in that region. So, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. They think that the fire may have started because they've been doing renovations to it.
Oh, no.
During the renovation process that, something caught on fire. I think it took 250 years to actually build Notre Dame.
And how many hours did it take for it to burn up?
I don't know.
That's...
Yeah. But the firefighters were pretty serious business, because they would do things like, it was reported that, they didn't use the really high pressure water on the stained glass windows, like the color rose windows, because they didn't want to break them. they were taking out as many relics and statues and everything, as many, they were trying to retrieve and save as many artifacts as they could.
Yeah.
And so they were passing them like one to the other, like a chain, trying really hard to save everything. It's over 400 of them. So as far as the conspiracies going, some people say ISIS is doing it. Some people say demons, Some people were actually saying that since there were a lot of catastrophes that seemed to happen in towards the end of April,
mm-hmm.
like the Oklahoma City bombing and the the school shooting that had those two guys.
Oh yeah, Columbine.
Yeah, Columbine.
Oh.
Since that happened around the middle towards the end of April, I think it was the 16th or I think it's something like that. And well, those were kind of a copycat. I think they actually copycatted Timothy McVeigh with the Oklahoma City bombing. But there's been a series of, you could kind of point to a series of sort of coincidences with all these terrible things happening towards the
Boston
middle.
Marathon.
Yep, Boston Marathon's another one towards the middle towards the end of April. And there's the theory that a lot of people are doing their ceremonies for whatever.
Timothy McVeigh was born in April.
Yeah. So I don't know, So I think it was the Klebold and the other kid. They copied McVeigh. So I don't know if there's any truth to that. I mean, there's certainly enough events that seem to have happened in middle towards the end of April that you can kind of point a finger at and go, see, here's a correlation between this and that and everything else. But that's the problem with a good conspiracy. You can make it work.
True.
And the more, sort of crazy it is, the better it seems to work.
Oh my gosh, it's starting to trend. Yeah. Catastrophes on April 15th.
There you go. Catastrophes on April 15th. And we're probably going to put that in our keywords so that people will look and see our podcast. But yeah, there was a bunch. I remember reading about 3 or 4 of them and going, okay, I don't know how bad this is going to get. But it goes back through time as well. It's not just more recent time, but it does seem to go for a little bit further
Abraham back. Lincoln.
Yep.
I'm getting chills from that one.
See? It's kind of nutty, man. So that was the reason why.
The Great Mississippi Flood of 1927?
Yeah.
That's
kind of the reason why I put it in the podcast, because it seems to be a little sketchy.
That's not cool.
So we will probably do a more exhaustive investigative type research thing about.
The Titanic was struck on April 14th.
See?
Probably finished sinking April 15th.
Now, there's a theory about the Titanic that the Titanic wasn't actually the Titanic.
Really?
Yeah. I definitely want to do some research on it, because I did learn a little bit about it and started going down that rabbit hole, and then I realized it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was time for bed. But it's worth looking into.
Literally, the only good thing to happen on April 15th is Jackie Robinson. Yep. First African-American player in the major leagues. That's the only good
back
thing.
Then, though, there was a lot of people that did not want that to happen. So to them, it would be a crisis.
That's terrible. But yeah. Libya U.S. airstrikes in 1980s.
Yep.
This just keeps getting... Soviet Union, Lithuanian independence in 1990. So that's good, I guess.
Yeah, that's when the wall and everything... When the Soviet Union started crumbling the wall, that whole sort of communist bloc.
2010, the volcanic ash grounded all European flights.
Yeah. See? It's kind of crazy.
2012, Kim Jong-un. Gosh.
Yeah. Very nice. Kind of nutty, huh?
I'm falling in
it's
this
definitely
rabbit
a rabbit hole to go down. If you're listening to the podcast, everything we talk about, we do have links. We have links in the show notes. So if you want to follow along, you certainly can. But I think right now, since you're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back.
The goal of M&D Paranormal is to compassionately, knowledgeably, and professionally support and offer paranormal services to those who have been affected by a paranormal experience, including those who have been indirectly affected. Services provided include paranormal investigation, property research, and evidence review of residential, business, and private property locations. Cleansing of these properties are available upon request. No matter the circumstances of the paranormal experience, M&D Paranormal strive to offer a non-judgmental environment to promote education, open communication, and empathy to each individual that chooses to share their experience or come into our service. In achieving this goal, M&D Paranormal is building and bringing together a community of open and like-minded individuals by offering free monthly gatherings and events at the Shop Eclectic, 49 State Street, Marion, North Carolina. Call us anytime at 828-484-1637 or 828-559-2818 or email us at mndparanormal.
And we're back. What'd you think about that?
Okay.
Kind of nutty, huh?
Yeah.
So it gets a little crazier in the podcast. We were going to go and do a haunted Asheville walking tour, but we didn't because we found out that we had commitments.
Yes.
You know, that's what happens when you become an adult. You have responsibilities, right?
Yes.
Adulting is hard, as this tax year was for us.
Shh.
So I'm sure there's lots of people that can relate. If you can relate to how the taxes suck ass,
Hey.
you just like leave us a message somewhere. But anyway, we have a little bit of a section that we like to kind of talk about, and it's called, aside from current news, which we've been talking about, Notre Dame. Actually, we should talk a little bit more about Notre Dame. There was a couple things that I wanted to say that I kind of didn't really touch on. Like, maybe I did. Let me take a look and see. Let's see what we're talking about here. Just so you know, the conspiracy theory subreddit, right?
Yes.
850,000 members.
Yeah.
Has started to theorize and conspirize about the whole Notre Dame thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And many of those people shared a 2016 Telegraph article that said gas tanks and Arabic documents found in unmarked car. That's the one that people were seeing and were talking about.
Huh.
To bring about the whole ISIS thing.
Yeah.
It was an old picture. It was an old post from like 2016.
Yeah.
But there's been lots of misinformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people were talking about how Twitter, or actually other news organizations were talking about how Twitter was letting people spread this misinformation, right?
But it wasn't even Twitter.
I know. And part of it is like there's a fake Twitter account that's going and saying things as well.
Yeah.
And they actually had a phone call. I think it was on Fox News where Shepard Smith was talking to an elected French official, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, after he brings up that it's been the churches in France have been desecrated in the past year.
Yeah.
Right? Shepard Smith cuts him off. Oh, Shep. Because this guy, this French elected official, has started to bring up those churches that we talked about earlier, where it showed the map with all these churches that were destroyed or, you know, had been attacked. So this elected French official guy, he brings it up. But, you know, they kept cutting them off saying, you know, we're not going to have that here. We're not going to have that here. So it's kind of like, what's going on with all this? You know, is this, you know, what caused this fire? You know, is it, what's going on? You know? Mm. And it's like, we've got ISIS, we've got demons, right? We got all this crazy stuff going on. We got Jesus. All this is happening. It's like, man, this place is getting a little crazy.
Yeah.
And then with all the events that just, you know, seem to correspond with the middle of April, towards the end of April, the whole April conspiracy things.
Yeah.
It paints a terrible picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you get to choose your poison. You know what I mean?
Well,
pick the conspiracy that works for you. But I mean, this church, this burning church.
Yeah.
You know, it was made in the 1200s. It's like one of the most, well, arguably the most famous church in the world. Burned. A little unsettling. I mean, I hope that it's just, you know, during a renovation process, something caught on fire. And being that the wood is as old as it is, you know, it's 1,300 trees, right? That basically it just caught on fire. I'd like to think that. I also would like to think that, you know, since there's all these billionaires coming out of the woodwork, right, to try to help offer to rebuild Notre Dame, that they will install a sprinkler system. You know what I'm saying? or maybe instead of making the entire ceiling out of wood, maybe they'll make it out of something else. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But I think they're saying they're going to try to have it done and rebuilt in 5 years.
Disney is going to be doing a $5 million donation, or
Wow.
they've pledged a $5 million donation. I'm trying to see. Oh, it's because with the exception of Disneyland Paris, Notre Dame was the top visited place in all of, France.
Yeah.
And once Disneyland happened, it became the top place. So now the statistics go that within the city of Paris, city limits,
Right.
Notre Dame's the most visited place. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Some people call it the French 9/11.
yeah,
There was reports of like Twitter accounts with Arabic sounding names, usernames with smiley faces all over it. All sorts of just crazy stuff's going on. So, but yeah, I'm sure that if you wanted to, you could check out that conspiracy theory subreddit and just go down that rabbit hole. But I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe it is demons. They were even saying that you could see a UFO in the clouds. There's a craft in the clouds. It's like, come on, man. I don't know. I just didn't see it. Yeah.
So I started reading a little bit about like the breakdown, because there's this one website that has like almost an hour by hour, or as information came.
Yeah.
Breakdown. One of the things is it says, okay, so Walt Disney Company has pledged to contribute $5 million to aid the reconstruction of the cathedral after Monday's fire.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah, and on top of that, there is another thing saying the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra plans to donate the proceeds of an upcoming concert in Berlin to the reconstruction of the cathedral. And that concert is the May 2nd concert. It's going to take place under the theme Standing Together, Solidarity for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had originally planned to have a concert at Notre Dame in 2021. So.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah. Now, there's been a couple of random quotes that have been misconstrued from the Culture Ministries fire expert, Jose Valdematos, who's been talking about, disassembling parts and moving the sacred relics out to keep them safe.
Yeah.
Stuff about the central rose window being taken down to limit the movement of the stone and basically keep it safe.
Yeah.
Has been misconstrued all over Twitter as they're removing stuff, secret stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, I read that too, but I could sort of look at it as being that they were trying to save
the rose windows.
the artifacts that
Yeah.
make the Notre Dame Cathedral Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, everybody sort of like reached out and said, hey, we'll help. Trump did. Other countries have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's been a bunch of French billionaires. Right?
And then
Henry Pinot, 113 million. Billionaire Bernard Arnault, right?
Yeah.
226 million. So I don't know.
And now France is going to pass a bill that would allow French ordinary citizens to get special tax cuts if they make a donation.
There you go.
Now, the one thing that stuck out for me is when this timeline starts breaking down, there's an initial description about 1:55 p.m. The organist who was playing at evening mass inside Notre Dame when the flames began heading towards the iconic cathedral's roof says people didn't immediately react when the fire alarm rang and the priest was reading from the Bible. Nobody knew exactly what was going on because that was the first time we had ever heard the fire alarm in the cathedral.
Wow.
People then started to leave the building, but some, including the organist, came back. They left and then they came back in.
Well, the place is so big, and the fire allegedly spread from being in the cathedral attic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It said around 6:50 p.m. fire was discovered in the wood timbers in the cathedral attic. They probably didn't know.
And
it's a huge building.
That's
right?
what he says. He says he spent another 20 minutes inside the cathedral chatting to colleagues before finally leaving at 6:45 p.m. He said he never saw fire or smoke and really thought that what was just going on was something not working good or just a mistake. Or,
yeah, like spiders in the sensors or something dumb, right?
Yeah. And then, oh, wow. So one of the other organists who wasn't in the cathedral says now the organ, because that's a big thing, must be completely dusted off, cleaned from the soot and, and the dust that's inside. And I know cleaning the Mormon tabernacles organ.
Tabernacle?
Yeah, like the...
You mean tabernacle?
Yeah.
Ooh, tabernacle.
Like the Church of Latter-day Saints organ was like in the $1 million to clean it.
Wow.
So I can't imagine Notre Dame's because it is bigger.
Yeah.
You know? So.
I'm sure. It's going to take a long time. Plus, they have to kind of label every single thing that they take out because, they put these pipes together and they're built around everything to make each one's, sort of custom. It's crazy.
And they have to do the same with the relics. And what I can say about the relics and all these special artifacts is it kind of harkens back to, I guess, that Egyptian revolution that happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
With
the reliquaries.
Asid Hawass, I guess, like fleeing for his life with like artifacts stuffed under his hat and like in his luggage.
Yeah.
But then
Zaki.
Yeah.
Was it Zaki? Yeah.
Yeah. And, there was no time to document. It was just make sure it gets out safe.
Yeah.
I'm glad the chain of custody for like the Holy Crown was with a chaplain. I find more trust in that.
Yeah, it was a fire chaplain.
Yeah. So instead of, the assistant of the archaeology expert,
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
So, yeah.
Well, if somebody did set it on fire, they should definitely put them in jail.
I want to know the cause. I mean, everybody's saying, the end of this article says, authorities are considering the fire an accident. And everybody has these conspiracy theories. And then the politician you spoke about earlier, he has all these very, vague statements, but ominous statements. I want to know what happened.
Well, the French president Macron said that it'll come back.
I mean,
it'll rise again. Just think about it like this. If you're a little kid right now, if you were born like recently, you'll never know Notre Dame the way it was.
True.
It won't be a big deal. So, I don't know. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. So speaking of crazy, we should talk about what's next on the podcast. Go for it. Talk about the creature feature.
You talked about it and then you skipped it.
Well, I know because I realized that I wanted to talk a little bit more about it because I kind of think there's something more to this.
Yeah.
But I don't know what. I don't necessarily think it's demons or UFOs in the clouds or Jesus. I don't know. I just think there's something a little bit more.
Do you think it's whatever that more is? Do you find it malevolent?
I don't know.
Okay. Because to me, I automatically drink the Kool-Aid and I think there's something going on.
Well, yeah, I don't necessarily think. But see, I don't know, though, because when you start to go down a rabbit hole with the other conspiracies that happened in April, you're like, oh. But I just think there might be something more to it. I don't know.
To me, this is like the great...
Because it seems like they're real quick to say, oh, yeah, we just think it's a natural accident kind of thing, and we're going to rebuild it. And I get it. You're talking about how they're going to rebuild and everything like that. But it just seems awfully quick to sort of dismiss everything to say that, hey.
But that goes into the whole other conspiracies about, sacred locations aren't really sacred locations.
Yeah.
All the important stuff got moved out years ago type stuff.
Yeah.
But
or maybe they're trying to keep it, quiet so that they can just shift gears from who did this to let's fix this.
Well, that was the other thing.
Especially if that one unnamed French official guy who's talking about all these thousands of churches who've been somehow or another been attacked or desecrated. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a real thing.
But then from a practical aspect, when 9/11 happened, when the Twin Towers fell, one of the biggest concerns that they had after they fell wasn't just on top above ground with all the sickness and all the building debris and stuff. It was underground where the homeless camps and thieves and all sorts of people were just raiding into those underground locations, taking money and stuff. This building's burned down. That means that those entrances and access points to the underground area, they're vulnerable as well right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's just from a practical standpoint.
I mean, I wonder, I don't know
Yeah.
how far the catacombs go, but I would think that the catacombs would go.
Oh, definitely.
So,
I mean, if it's the circle point that you mentioned it at, in the 10 interesting facts,
yeah.
I bet there's a hub right below.
Probably.
So speaking of catacombs, though,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and go back to the creature feature. Again, we were supposed to stop by and do the county jail haunting. Or
Is that what you're calling it?
Basically haunted Asheville walking tour.
Yeah.
And
this was like the 110th year anniversary.
Yes, of the
county
Asheville,
jail hunting in
Asheville
1908.
Ghoul. Yeah.
That's how I used to say ghoul.
Well, you'd think, but
Well, think about how it's spelled. Gaol. Ghoul.
so the name of this article is County Jail Haunting, and then the top of it, I think it was an old typo that people let go. The county jail or Ghoul at Asheville, North Carolina, is about to be abandoned on the ground that it is haunted. So the county jail at Asheville, North Carolina is about to be abandoned on the grounds that it is haunted.
Yeah, but that was from 1908. That's not from 2018.
This comes from Phantoms and Monsters. Now, because it is the anniversary of this haunted Ghoul,
Ghoul.
yeah, Christian from the Asheville Cryptid Society, he's been doing a walking tour, and to celebrate it, he's taking people through the county jail and giving them the history and the folklore associated with the haunting that occurs at the county jail. And this article, again, from Phantoms and Monsters, discusses the history of it.
Well, the article from Phantoms and Monsters is basically just a clipping from the newspaper.
Yeah.
As in this report was in the actual newspaper.
Yeah. It was the 1908 Catholic Press? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the newspaper was back then. I think it's changed names,
But I think it's just a mistype in the spelling. It just happens to go along with the word ghoul or gowl. So
it's not a misprint. That's how they used to say ghoul.
All right.
Ghoul.
But that doesn't make sense.
G-A-O-L.
The county ghoul at Asheville, North Carolina is about to be abandoned.
What are you talking about?
Read the
Just read the story.
The county ghoul at Asheville, North Carolina is about to be abandoned on the grounds that it is haunted.
Well, what is ghoul? I mean, okay, so it's 1908, right? So do we need to look it up and say, is the ghoul the same thing as the jail?
Which is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's not what you said at all.
Of course, because I said G-A-O-L.
Okay, so here's what it says. It says a place for confinement of people accused or convicted of a crime. It's not misspelled. The noun is G-A-O-L. Mm-hmm. So ghoul. Put somebody in jail.
So the
synonyms, not cinnamon.
Yes.
Synonyms. Imprison.
But you were
incarcerate.
From the pretext that I was about to say the haunted ghost at Asheville is about to be closed on the
Why
ground.
is jail spelled ghoul? How about let's look that up real quick.
How about let's read the article?
Okay. I always use the word ghoul and never jail as in jail. Jail is the American spelling. For the life of me, I do not see why the English. Okay, so this is the English version of it. Like, you know.
Yeah,
like
because I'm not going to read.
You don't know.
The way in
so
which
what do they call a jail in England?
Ghoul.
Yes.
Yes.
What do they call it in America?
Jail.
Jail.
Mm-hmm. Not ghoul. The county ghoul is about to be closed.
So is it, how do you pronounce it?
It's Ghoul.
Ghoul?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like jail at all. Is ghoul pronounced jail? Let's see. No. No, it's not.
My whole point is this isn't about the start of this story isn't about a ghoul. It leads into a ghoul, but it's about a jail, which is a ghoul. So, the haunted ghoul.
Is there some kind of music you want me to play to trumpet the fact that you're actually right this time? Like really loud, so that everybody will know. Here we go. You ready? There you go.
Are you done?
I have, yes.
The county ghoul at Asheville, North Carolina, is about to be abandoned on the grounds that it is haunted. The entire body of prisoners, numbering over 200, some weeks ago presented a petition to the authorities appealing for protection against the demons and evil spirits infesting the building. When the sheriff opened the doors, he found the inmates in hysterical excitement. 2 of them had fainted, and all declared that their experiences had been most harrowing. Every night, they said they could hear a trap from which a African American was recently hanged fall with a loud crash. After the crash, from midnight until 3 o'clock in the morning, an evil spirit swung to and fro along the iron grating of the cells, grinning and moving its lips, but not speaking, while the inmates moaned and prayed. The sheriff and jailer admitted that the prisoners' fears are justified, they too having heard unearthly sounds and seen unholy sights. Accordingly, the prisoners have been promised that they shall be removed at once to a new jail.
That's nutty.
Yeah. Oh. And then it goes on to say, the person who submitted this article, because it was from an Australian newspaper, was curious if anybody else had ever done any additional research as far as the hauntings or supposed, I guess, spirits in the place. And this would mark the anniversary of that. So, I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of spooky going on, especially in historic Asheville. You have that one whole street that still has the original cobble or brick road, you know, and some old buildings out there.
Brick.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be 4 stories tall, and now it's down just to the 1 story. And
oh, wow.
The marker on it says it's the last standing structure of the old county jail complex. And then we talked about that bizarre tale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, now there is some correlation to it. One of the last people hanged at the jail was a person named James Rucker, and he was an African American who, I guess, assaulted a young child, and he was hung sometime in 1907. Over the years, there were 6 legal hangings and several lynchings from the jail. So
that's not cool.
That does correlate with the descriptions from the prisoners.
Yeah.
You know? So.
That's kind of.
Yeah, that's unsettling, though. I mean, you're already stuck in jail. And now you got some malicious spirit.
So if you're in the area and you want to take a tour, you should take one of the haunted Asheville walking tours. Because it's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So, there you go. So, speaking of Bigfoots.
Nice transition.
Yeah, you like this? So, evidently, there was an apparent Bigfoot episode on the Tippecanoe River in Indiana. I really just put this in here because I wanted to say Tippecanoe. In Indiana. Yeah, we actually know somebody in Indiana. We're going to have them on the show eventually, when the time is right, who actually investigates this kind of thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the story happened in the 90s, right? And then the person that submitted the story says this happened to my grandfather and I in the 1990s. It said, my grandfather lived in Rochester, Indiana, alongside the Tippecanoe River. Across the river was a wildlife preserve. It's also used to be a camp, and the camp had been run down and the building dilapidated, but still very eerie. It sits on the corner of the river where it bends at a sandbar. That's where the river bends.
That would be great for fishing.
Yeah. That's exactly what they were doing. My grandfather and I were hanging out limb lines for catfish. If you don't know what that is, that's when you basically hang some string and some bait off a tree limb. Yeah, kind of like when they were baiting the crocodiles.
Oh, yeah.
Or the alligators. What was that show called? Shoot 'em, that guy. Crocodile Hunters. Swamp People.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was called Swamp People. And so anyway, we hung them out every night, and we go out in the morning to see if we caught anything. 3 nights in a row, our lines were ripped down and laid on the bank. These lines are very strong, and it would take a lot of power to snap them. They're the same ones used to catch gators. Yeah. They were ripped off, and the whole limb were ripped off and put on the bank. One night, my grandfather and I were going down to check out the fishing poles, right? While tight lining along the side of the bank, It says we'd seen a rabbit jump in the water and swim across earlier in the day, and we thought that was weird. But when we went down to check our poles, we heard a splash in the river. My grandfather said that it was probably another rabbit swimming across the river, and we heard another splash. It was louder than the last. Finally, we both stopped and tried to see in the dark as best as possible. We only had a glow in the dark bobber for a light, so looking across the river was out of the question. And the next thing I heard sent chills down my spine, and it stuck with me forever. I never knew what it was until I saw a documentary called Discovering Bigfoot. The growl recorded in that video was the exact same sound my grandfather and I heard, and it was from the bellows of the gut, and I just wanted to share it with you.
That's unsettling.
It is unsettling.
So I know a little bit about rabbits swimming. Rabbits will only swim in situations where their territory or where they built their little nest is being flooded. Then it's a swim for survival. So it's, that last moment fight or flight thing.
Yeah.
And they will, in rare instances, if food is scarce, they will actually swim. Certain species will swim.
And they will also swim if they are completely and utterly infested with fleas.
Yeah, well, that too.
Foxes do that too.
Yeah.
So.
But, that the first suggestion, which would be flooding or an extreme flight or flight reaction.
Yeah.
Bigfoot scared a bunny. That's so sad. So.
Well, Bigfoot probably didn't scare the bunny. The bunny was scared of the Bigfoot.
Okay.
But that growl, man, that guttural from the gut sort of, growl.
Yeah. And I do think it's interesting because this is something that would be right up somebody's alley because it's a wildlife preserve as well as an abandoned camp.
Yeah.
So that's
on the bend of a river.
Yeah, that's way up in the wilderness. So
yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually appreciate that account.
And, if it's territorial and Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever you want to call them is smart, they might be kind of mad that you're, taking their food.
Yeah.
Kind of like breaking the limbs off with the lines on, throwing them up on the bank like, hey, you're not allowed to do that.
This is my fishing hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You never know. I thought that was kind of crazy. So it's especially, the putting the lines up on the bank. Bigfoot makes noise. Everybody's heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Possibilities of infrasound and that sort of thing. But to do something like to break a limb off a tree with a line attached to it and throw it up on the bank is like an obvious sort of like warning, like in your face kind of a thing. You wouldn't necessarily expect that from something like a bear or an animal, like they think that Sasquatch or Bigfoot or Yeti or Yowie, whatever you want to call him, may actually be. They think he's more animalistic in some cases. Whereas I don't necessarily think so. I think that if Bigfoot does exist, they would be more closer towards primate or humans. But even then, would a primate like a big gorilla or a chimpanzee or an orangutan? I think orangutans are smarter. You think they would do that? To kind of let you know, hey, look, you're in my territory. Would they break the limb off the tree with the line, like the fishing line on it, and throw it up on the bank?
Well, they do. They do throw large tree branches.
Well, they do, but I think that throwing the lines up on the bank is more than just like throwing them around.
Well, no, they throw it in a sense of this is my territory, I've been here type thing. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, from what I read, it didn't sound like that's what they were doing. It sounded like it was laid up there like, hey, we know what you're doing, and we don't like it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And besides, why didn't they just throw feces up there? That's what they do at the zoo.
Well, the one part about
the poops.
This account that I appreciated was, the amount of detail and the fact that, they had to tight line around the bend in certain areas. So they were already, once they put those lines in, it was kind of inconvenient for Bigfoot to cross through that little area. Like if you wanted to get up on the bank and I guess fish or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He probably stood up and kept hitting those lines and got mad.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I'm so angry. There's fishing lines everywhere. I don't think that'd be a problem for him. I think he just cruised right on through it.
Okay.
So, you never know. Kind of crazy. Bigfoot. Speaking of Bigfoot, we're going to go to the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. We're going to be vendors there.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. So,
So
April 27th, right? You should come see us.
26th or
26th and 27th.
Yes.
Yes. You should come see us.
So
we're going to be, this is where you're supposed to fill in.
Well, I don't know
I'm
what to
saying here.
fill in with, okay?
We'll fill in, we'll give them some details. Here, let me
Okay.
give you some detail music. What would you think about this?
That is sleepy music, and I'm already
Yes.
tired. So, the Georgia Bigfoot Conference, April 26th through 28th in Clayton, Georgia. Their early bird tickets are already sold out.
The VIP passes are sold out.
Yeah. So
The vendor sign-up is sold out.
Yeah.
All tickets are sold out.
Wow.
But it doesn't say if you can't get them at the door, though.
Yeah. I guess that's changed because I don't see it anymore.
The
Now-
Bigfoot Explorer Sunday event on April 28th is sold out. Anyway, it looks like everything is sold out.
Wow.
So if you're there and you have a ticket, or if you have a ticket and you're there, we look forward to meeting you. You should come see us.
Yes.
As far as where we're going to be, I have no idea.
But yes, we will be vendors at the event because there's also going to be, I guess, the Georgia Comic-Con vendors
At the same time.
at the same exact time. Now, Friday, April 26th is going to be the Meet Our Speakers and Celebrities at the VIP reception. Then Saturday through Sunday, I guess there will be vendors as well as panels and stuff like that.
Yes.
There will be a Bigfoot exploration tour with Matt Delf. And, oh, wow. This is going to include Bigfoot investigators from BFRO, Bigfoot tracker and executive director of MECRO, an additional 3 other Bigfoot experts and researchers. There will be the Tennessee Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, there, as well as M&D Paranormal, who...
Yes, they're supposed to be
Yes.
speaking at 4
Yes,
that day.
they will be presenting that day.
And from what I actually hear, I do believe that they're supposed to have a investigation, possibly a nighttime ghost type investigation, paranormal investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really have very many details on that.
Yes.
So, and also from what I understand, if that actually happens, I think we are somehow or another going to be a part of that.
We'll be assisting. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
No.
So,
As,
but I don't know.
yeah, as vendors, definitely stop by the table. We'll have some...
Talk to us.
Yeah, talk to us.
We have some swag.
Yeah, we'll have some swag. We'll also have some very exclusive CreepGeeks items for sale.
Ooh.
Yes.
Merch.
As we like to say in the biz.
Yeah, but if you're going to be there, Georgia Bigfoot Conference, if you're going to be in Clayton, Georgia, and you have a ticket, you should stop by.
Yeah.
Say hello. Say listen to the podcast.
Yeah. If we can, we'll try to snag a quick little interview with you when we can. And,
Sure.
Maybe feature you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we don't have very many details. We're not exactly sure where we're going to be sitting or any of that stuff, but we are going to have a big old banner.
Yes.
And guess what that banner is going to say?
CreepGeeks Podcast.
Yeah, there you go. So, very, very nice. So, anyway. Coming up next on the podcast, and I don't mean this particular podcast, but on our next podcast, since we've recently finished 2 investigations, we can start sharing what we know now and what we've experienced. Because we joined MD Paranormal to learn about paranormal investigation, and we have some experienced experiences with that. So we're kind of looking forward to being able to share that, and we're going to be able to start actually putting some videos up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next day or two, you can find a video from our second investigation with MD Paranormal, where we have an interview with the owners of the Off the Wagon Dueling Piano Bar in Asheville, North Carolina,
Yes.
and where they talk about their experiences, and those experiences are what led them to give M&D a call, say, hey, can you come check it out? So look forward to that. That's going to be on our CreepGeeks YouTube channel. It's an interview in entirety. It's the pre-investigation interview with the owners of the Off the Wagon Dueling Piano Bar. It's going to be very, very nice.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. But other than that, that's about all I have.
Okay. The only thing I can really add is, yes, I look forward to speaking about the evidence and what we've experienced so far as we've just joined a paranormal investigation team. And,
Yes.
It's kind of some of the things that I've noticed, and, I guess those pretenses I walked into the situation with, and then actually being in a paranormal investigation and what's so different. And I look forward to talking about that soon.
Yeah.
Now,
Me too.
I do want to let everybody know, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, or, subscribe to the podcast via your favorite player, iTunes, Google Play, etc. And check us out on Facebook. That's where we make all our big announcements. You can see all the events that we'll be going to for 2019. And we have a very active Facebook group.
Yeah, it's fun. You should definitely check it out. People, we all interact with each other. It's very, very nice.
We actually have a couple of show ideas floating around in the group.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And plus, we do post funny stuff and things that we see. So it's not all like doom and gloom, if you will. So you should definitely check it out. Mm-hmm. Facebook is probably the way to go. And you can also be aware that every time we do an episode, we do post it on Twitter. I was actually asked that, hey, when you guys do a podcast episode, do you announce it on Twitter? And it's like, well, of course we do.
Yes.
So it's there. But anyway, you can follow us on Twitter if you will. And it's going to be CreepGeeks Pod on Twitter.
Yep.
So, but
now,
yeah.
If you do want to email us again, that email address is going to be contact@creepgeeks.com. Or you can just go to creepgeeks.com and click on the cute little, well, not cute, interesting looking Contact Us button that I just built.
Yeah.
And put up there.
Very,
you can
very nice.
Call the show 575-208-4025.
Very, very nice.
And in both those cases, anonymity guaranteed. If you're not comfortable giving your name or your info, just share your story and we'll respect you.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, it's been good talking to you guys. So, come back again. Say hello. It'll be good. But until then, see you later. Take it easy. Bicycle.
Bye.
I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter.